Today is Friday, or Friday. It is May 15th. Oh no, I lied. It's May 14th. Nope, that's from yesterday. Wow, my stimming. Okay, it's May 15th, 2020. I have the wrong GoFormative pulled up from yesterday, so I thought it was the 14th again. I was listening to what you guys said you thought the dragon ate, so that when we read today, I could see if any of you were right. I heard some funny ones. Harper said dragon food, whatever dragon food is. That she thought maybe it was like dog food. Paul said he thought that it's going to eat meat because it's a carnivore. And then a couple of you said that you thought it would eat worms. So let's see. But before we get started, today we do have music. Today is supposed to be 82, so it's supposed to be nice and warm. And this weekend it's supposed to be really warm. Miss Deming got a blow-up pool, and that is what I'm going to do this weekend. So I'll report back on Monday if I do that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm doing. My question of the day for you today is, what is something that you learned this week? It can be from school, or it can just be something maybe you didn't know and you found out this week and learned it at home. Maybe your mom or dad taught you something. Anything you learned this week. It doesn't have to be school related, or it can be. So that's our question. Yeah, I think, and then we have music. I don't know if I said that with Mr. Fawner today. So I know we love music around here. So let's see what we got going. Oh, something I learned too. I made a new recipe this week. So I learned how to I made this sheet pan steak with potatoes and asparagus, and you broiled it all. And Miss Deming's never made that before, and it was really good. That's what I learned this week. We listened to Hatching Snakes, the Food Experiment. And there's Sassafras. Chapter 8 is the food experiment, and we'll see, maybe we'll read 2. We just gotta see how long they are. But this food experiment, actually, this one's a little long, so we're probably gonna only read 1 today. The food experiment. All this thinking about food made me hungry. My stomach gurgled loudly. Sassafras growled. Silly Sassafras, I ruffled his fur. I'm just hungry for lunch. Let's go back to the house. As we walked, I realized I had a great question for an experiment. I grabbed my brand new science journal and sat down with my sandwich. On the first page, I wrote, question, what do baby dragons like to eat? The baby dragon had scales like a little snake. I bet he was a reptile. If snakes ate worms, maybe dragons did too. Oh, they're gonna try what a lot of you said, worms. Sure, this baby dragon was a lot bigger than a baby snake in the forest, so maybe he'd eat a lot of worms. I knew I should try several different kinds of foods, just in case. I worried it might be hard to get the baby dragon to eat, so I picked some of my favorites. I set my choices on the kitchen table and wrote them all down. Materials: worms, apple slices, eggs, cheese, marshmallows, cereal, granola bar. I think the only thing on her list that seems dragon-like is worms. And then if you see, like, this is her journal, so they kind of made it, well, it's like her handwriting. Like when you write in your journal, maybe you guys could have an experiment journal. Maybe worms were like the reptile version of marshmallows. Hypothesis: I think he will eat worms. Sorry, worms. Sorry, worms. Now I needed to set up my experiment. Every time I'm experimenting, my mom always tells me the exact same thing. Remember to change only one thing and keep everything else in your experiment the same. And by every time, I really mean she says it every time. I wanted to change the kind of food I was giving him, so I needed to keep everything else the same. I got 7 of the same white plates out of the cabinet. I measured out the same amount of each kind of food. 1 kind of food per plate. I grinned. This experiment would make my mom happy. And she added to her journal, 1 handful of each, and 7 white plates, the same size. Next, I decided what my steps would be. And she wrote it, and it's kind of like a how-to writing, explaining someone how to do something. That's kind of what an experiment's writing is like too. 1, so step 1, set 1 handful of each food on each plate at the same distance from the baby dragon. 2, step out of the pen and watch him. Step 3, write down what he eats. All set. I gathered my supplies in my arms and tucked my science notebook under my chin. When Sassafras and I got to the barn, I was surprised to see that the dragon was looking around a bit. "Hey, little guy," I said softly. "I've got some food here for you to try." I set each plate of food the same distance away from the dragon. He watched me with big, curious eyes. Once everything was in place, I stepped out of the pen to take notes. The baby dragon got up and carefully licked the food on the first plate. The cereal stuck to his tongue. He scrunched up his face, jumped back, and pawed at his tongue. Oops. He didn't like that, see? So that was the cereal. He doesn't like the cereal. I made a quick note in my journal. Dragons do not like cereal. What if it was just the kind of cereal? Once he wiped off all the cereal pieces, he calmed down. Then his nostril got really wide. He sniffed and took a few steps, then sniffed some more. He skipped all the other plates and went straight to the marshmallows. His little blue tongue shot out for a lick and his eyes lit up. He was so excited he let out a little hiccup. A spark landed on the marshmallow and smoked a bit before going out. The dragon immediately gobbled up the toasted marshmallows. No, what? I had to giggle. Roasted marshmallows are the best. I bet he would really like s'mores. I wrote down my conclusion. Dragons love marshmallows. And there's marshmallows, and he toasted them with his sparks. So Ezra said something about his sparks. I guess those were involved as well. You know, this reminds me of the book. I don't know if everybody's read it, but Dragons Love Tacos is one of my favorites, and that's what this reminds me of. As Sassafras and I watched him cough out a spark to toast each of the marshmallows that were left, I made a decision. I looked down at Sassafras. We need to call him something other than Little Guy. I grinned. Let's call him Marshmallow. So now he has a name, too. Sassafras purred in agreement. A few minutes later, Marshmallow was running and hopping around the pen, flapping his little wings as he jumped into the air. I couldn't stop laughing. Eating a whole plate of marshmallows would make me feel the same way. Sassafras couldn't resist the fun and joined Marshmallow in the pen. The two of them played and played until they fell into a fluffy, scaly heap. Sassafras was panting a bit, so I brought a big bowl of water to the pen. They eagerly drank with their heads side by side. Then Marshmallow settled down in the dirt. He tucked his tail in, rested his head on top, and closed his eyes. Time for another nap, huh? Marshmallow didn't make a peep. Through the barn windows, I could see that the sky was getting dark. Sassafras, I whispered, time for dinner. Let's leave Marshmallow to sleep for the night. We'll see him in the morning. And there he is, sleeping. So cute. As Sassafras and I tiptoed out of the barn, I spotted the camera. Oh man, I couldn't wake the little guy now, and I wanted his sweet face in the photo. I'd have to take the picture the next morning. When I got back to the house, my dad was at the stove cooking. I grinned when I saw what he was making. Sassafras-shaped pancakes. A dad's specialty. He makes it look easy, but it isn't. My mom and I have tried to make them, but our pancakes end up looking like weird blobs. Dad looked up and smiled at my thinking goggles, still perched on my head. What you been working on, he asked. I almost told him about Marshmallow, but then I remembered how he couldn't see magical creatures. I figured I'd better leave out the details about the baby dragon. Just some science experiments with Sassafras out in the barn. Dad flipped another pancake. That's great, honey. I'm so glad you two have been able to keep yourself busy with your mom gone. Oh, we were keeping ourselves busy, all right. If Dad only knew. I could hardly wait for morning to come. First, I'd get my magical photo of the sweet little face, and then I'd spend the whole day playing with a baby dragon. The next chapter is called Sassafras with a question mark. So I'm very curious. I wonder what Sassafras goes and does. I'm curious. So we'll start back up next week. And we're almost done, actually. We got pretty far into the book, so we might even get to start a new one next week. Yeah, we've got a couple left. Just a little bit. So maybe we'll get to do that get a new one next week, because I have 6 of those books to read, so we've got a good amount. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend, and I love you and miss you.